I'm David Lee, and welcome back to Sound and Communication Viewpoint. With me is Pastor Hawks, and we're picking up our conversation on assisting the hearing impaired in the House of Worship Market. Pastor Hawks, I know you're building a new facility there in Orlando, 300,000 square foot, if I understood right?
That's correct.
And one thing to, I think, raise an issue, especially being in Florida, is that there's a retirement community there, a retirement population, and we're seeing aging in America. How do you plan to address the aging population that sits within your church each Sunday?
Well, we have some real challenges ahead of us in that area. We have a substantial number of people in the church already who are aging. With such a variety of people, from very young to very old in one congregation, the hot, loud music, the very strong visuals we use, we have to make sure it's tailored, though, also to meet that particular niche market, which is a challenge.
Yeah. Are you finding any, again, have you had any dialogue with your older generation to understand that, are they wanting a particular type of technology? Are they wanting something for the ear? Are they wanting perhaps closed caption? Have they said anything to you that the systems integrator could benefit from, glean from your experience within the church walls?
Well, we have a disabilities ministry, and they're the ones that are hands-on interfacing with people with needs in our church. And they bring back to us recommendations on a regular basis. There has been a move afoot to have some kind of quality sound reinforcement method for the hearing impaired. And again, whether that turns out being a loop system or an infrared system, we're still playing that, that card through.
What about perhaps a combined use of these different technologies? Do you see any future in that?
Yes. One of the advantages of the infrared system has to do with the fact that we have multiple channels where we can do voice translation as well. So since we have a large Hispanic population, Russian population, we have nationalities from Africa, et cetera, in our church, we could use that particular band to do voice translation and for the hearing impaired.
Yeah, which I imagine is quite important, especially in a place like Florida where you have such a melting pot of civilizations going on there, or people groups. Within that context, then, I'm not sure exactly how you would use multiple induction loops. Then you think you lean toward more the infrared or the wireless technologies then for the translation as well as the hearing impaired?
What I would think would be an infrared system would be for some hearing impaired who don't have hearing aids that pick up the loop system. The loop system, I think, has some advantages, though, for those who already have hearing aids that can tune into that system. So by using both, we offer both technologies, plus we get the added advantage with the infrared system of doing voice translation.
Okay. What about closed caption technology? Have you considered that at all, and how that perhaps that could be a way to, especially for the people that are truly deaf, where hearing equipment necessarily is not going to solve the problem, but perhaps a combination of closed caption as well as the other technologies?
I haven't had anyone sit down with me yet and explain how we could incorporate closed caption methodology into our new facility. I'm not saying we wouldn't consider it, because quite frankly, we haven't hired our integrator yet, and hopefully when we do, he'll sit down and give us some of these options.
Yeah, so I think that's a key point for integrators, for us to consider that. I mean, this is Pastor Hawks, and he's working with a large church, yet he doesn't seem to really have the information to know how to make a reasonable decision on that type of technology. So I find it a key point that we pick up on that as systems integrators, we need to be a little bit more aware on perhaps the technologies that we can bring to focus to a pastor so they can make a decision on which technology or a combination of technologies that would best serve your need, especially in a large environment like this. One quick follow-up question on that is, if they're already hearing impaired and you're moving into this large facility, how do you plan to help people that are hard of hearing or hearing impaired or deaf? What types of technology do you plan to use that helps them find where the auditorium is or the restroom, or is there some type of signage, something like that, that you plan to use?
Yes, we are planning on putting in a complete digital signage system throughout the property. And depending on where it is located, it'll have different channels. There will be some channels that are just purely informational, and within the flipping pages of that will be information for the hearing impaired, where to go to get help, We have a couple of information desks associated with, well, they can answer questions. Plus, we're hoping to have all of our ushers and greeters trained in such a way that they could answer questions for people in need.
Okay. Another thought that came to mind was that running all of these wireless technologies, for example, you've got wireless transmitters for the hearing impaired, you've got wireless microphones going on, the musicians are using wireless in-ear systems. How do you plan, or how have you gained knowledge that would help you incorporate all of these RF issues so that there's not frequency conflict, and so that they function as they should?
Well, I wish I could say that one of the people we originally bought a bunch of our wireless equipment from had informed us of what the problems were that laid ahead of us. Because just recently in the Orlando market, we've discovered our frequency range is drying up, and we have about 10 microphones that became useless there in Orlando, which forced us to buy a whole new batch of wireless mics. And so now that's become very crucial for us, is that we get the support we need to make sure that we keep the bandwidth available to us to meet all of our wireless needs.
So you would depend upon a competent systems integrator to help you know this type of information so that you don't waste money.
Absolutely. Matter of fact, one of our church members, who happens to work for a very large company, he was the one that first brought us to attention that, for instance, one manufacturer actually has a website that lists frequencies and where they work in what cities and what they don't. And we never knew that before.
Thanks, Pastor Hawks. Join us again in 2 weeks here at Sound and Communications Viewpoint, where we'll continue our conversation with Pastor Robb Hawks, and we will talk about new technologies and how they are used in the house of worship sector. I'm David Lee. See you then.